The commonly used Chinese characters are 3,000. Commonly used. Yeah. Commonly used Chinese characters is 3,000. But the characters does not mean. Yeah, so now you can see that it's difficult. Alright, that is published by the Chinese government. Like they have a what do you call it, a bureau that actually works on the language usage and how it falls under the social linguistic category. Yeah. So for that it seems difficult to the students. And the characters actually don't come out with a meaning because it has to be two characters. Normally the two characters form a word that actually means something. Yeah, and as for like the words, it can come up to like 70. Because if you do the computation and all that, then you get about 70,000 words in a sense. Yeah, but you don't use so much. You don't use so much like in daily work that the students are writing.
Yeah, sorry. Do they do bilingual? Do you do bilingual teachers from primary school like to bilingual teachers in class?
In the kindergarten, yes. Right, we have the Chinese and English. But the subjects taught, right, except for Chinese, and I think moral education in the primary units, all other subjects are taught in English. So Chinese is standalone. Coming back to what's easy, so at least from them and even from the parents, they will see that first language Chinese is difficult, additional math is tough for some, humanities can be a waste of time, same with art. And that's something we say no matter what, we have to do it.
That's the parents.
That's the parents. So, but the school, we sometimes have a battle with parents on that. For various reasons, they will say, oh, my child is going on to US universities. They want to look at straight A's in the transcripts. My child's not going to have that in humanities. Can I drop that? I would want my child to drop that. We say no. Unfortunately, we will review you for the exams, all right, and we will reflect that on the transcript.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Is there a difference in gender in their scores in mathematics and science compared to the liberal arts?
Liberal arts.
Humanities.
Humanities. I'm sorry. So the scores, are they different between your boys and your girls in the areas of mathematics
We did
and science?
analyze that. When we look at the humanities performance, at least for IGCSE, it is still above 70% for A's and A star. And once it goes beyond that, we will say, okay, we are happy with what we have got. Across the subject, I think the one that's demanding was our world literature. So that was last year was the first year our students took the world lit as a year group, as an entire year group, and the proportion of A and science is pretty low in comparison to other subjects. And that's something that the head of English mentioned is quite common in schools in Hong Kong, right? The proportion is equivalent, but we are seeing how we can actually level that up. So for history and geography and global perspectives, not much of a significant difference with the sciences. Same with IB as well. I think IB, economics are pretty strong. History, okay, coming back to IB, among the group 3 humanities, a lot of them do economics, and I think they do pretty well in that, comparable to the sciences. History and ITGS subjects are very small in the candidature. They may be a bit slower in the average compared to the sciences. Right? Okay, so our people. So that's the profile of our students. All right. We categorize Singaporeans in two groups: citizens, they carry the Singapore passports. Singapore PR, permanent residents, they may carry passports from their home country. All right. So that's a proportion. Other nationalities. Now, this belies the fact that a lot of students, I think close to 99%, are actually ethnically Chinese. All right. So they may carry a British, a US, Canadian passports, but they're ethnically Chinese. That's because of the Chinese language requirement here. All right, and which we also apply in our admissions because a child must be able to converse, all right, or do our Chinese papers when we apply to at least the secondary section. Right. So all students offer Chinese here. Parents are very hands-on. Coming back to the culture, so hands-on is a double-edged sword. Very supportive, right? So if you actually email the parents, I think within 1 or 2 days, we'll get things done. Okay, so especially primary side, the primary teachers try to update at least once every, either weekly or fortnightly. And some of the parents who we actually work with quite closely will say, okay, I'm going to get things done. He's going to complete this work at home today. Okay, so we have some parents who, I'm not sure if they work, but they are always, they always reply very quickly to email from parents. Secondary less so, yes.
How do you balance between the Singapore students and Chinese students? Because I noticed that there are some, like, can you please go back to the previous
Yes.
slide? I noticed that there's a lot of Singapore students.
Yes.
So is that a weekly national anthem? So
Okay.
would you sing
Yes.
Singapore song or you sing?
Okay, good point. National education, right? There's this podcast and one of our girls about national education in local schools. Here, we do national education in a very subtle way. So we do have the national anthem, the Singapore national anthem we play every morning. All right, and students are expected to stand to attention together with teachers. And if you're a Singapore student or a teacher, you have to sing the anthem. We also recite the pledge. All right. Apart from that, we don't do a lot of other Singapore things during the academic year. In primary school, it's a bit stronger, okay, because I think we have a higher proportion of Singapore teachers who can do that. In secondary section, we're hoping more will be done, but we're trying to contextualize it. What I mean by that, in Singapore, we talk about total defense, all right, economic defense, military defense, psychological defense. When we talk about this, the primary teachers were thinking of how do you actually make that even relevant to a student in Hong Kong. What does economic defense mean in Hong Kong context? So that's something they've done already. Secondary school, we have yet to do it, but we plan to do it eventually. All right. With regard to how they interact, not much of an issue because most of the Singapore kids here, they have been in Hong Kong for a long while, and so if you look at them, you can't really tell the difference actually. All right. So the only exposure they have is the anthem, the pledge. We have certain programs during summer. We have one program that allows them to go back to Singapore to be attached to a Singapore school. Okay, so that's I think 2 weeks, and they also take part in the National Day Parade. All right, so with the fireworks, with the processions, and that the kids are quite excited about. Right, older kids they have a chance to visit the military camps if they want. The sign up for the older kids among the older kids is not that high, but it's pretty high among the primary school kids. Okay, coming back to the parents one. On the other side of the coin, we have parents who either send their kids to a lot of tuition, which the principal actually spoke to the parents about and say that you must give your child some space and time because we do hear of kids who have been working to even past midnight in secondary one. Okay, that's a concern. I'm not sure how that actually, how you see whether that happens in American schools, but it's a great concern to us. Past midnight is some of our teachers are quite over enthusiastic, so we tell them to moderate the frequency of the homework and the amount of homework. So we have a homework policy of whatever homework you prescribe to your kid, you must tell them the expected time they should spend on that assignment, so that if they go beyond, they have the right to move on. The sad thing is I spoke to a few students and they said we still want to work on that because it's sometimes not pressure, it's their own motivation, it's the pressure on themselves, which is sometimes a bit of concern, sometimes gratifying. Okay, I'm not sure how you see it as PhD student, but as educator, I'm also two minds about this. All right, to what extent would you want a child to push himself or herself? To what extent is that drive inimical to the holistic development?
How long is your school day? What are your school hours?
We for lower, okay, we have depending on which level. If you are Sec 1 or Sec 2, it will end by 2:15. So it starts at 8:30. Okay, it come 8 o'clock, it ends at 2:50. If you're upper secondary or DB, it depends on the subjects you offer. Unfortunately, we can't fit all the subject combination by 3 o'clock, so some lessons will end by 4:30. Okay, so it can be a pretty long day, similar to what local schools in Hong Kong actually have. In Singapore, that's actually the norm. Okay, we have lessons that end till 4:30. So as teachers from Singapore, we're quite used to that, but it's something that's quite new here to the teachers from other systems. Yes.
So do you go to school year round? Do you get a summer break?
We do have a summer break.
How does that work?
The number of weeks here, we have is similar to the international schools here. We don't have extra weeks actually. All right, we do have breaks at slightly different times. 1 week probably or 2 weeks away from what other schools are doing. But there's no way we could have more academic weeks here. The teachers will not want to join us, right? And I think by and large, our emphasis is if you actually teach concisely, okay, if you don't waste time during class, you can cover the syllabus. All right, the rest is to be left to the child.
I noticed that you don't have physical education or sports.
I forgot to mention that we do have physical education. Sorry about that. We do have physical education all the way up to secondary 4. Alright? In IB, we have not managed to fit in the timetable yet, but I plan to do so next year. PE is one of the things that we see as useful. The kids like to play, but they are not so concerned about the skills, the movement skills. We see physical education is not just promoting healthy lifestyle. Another aspect is movement skills and teamwork. Alright, so the emphasis of when you learn a particular sport is not just learning the technique, it's learning how that particular movement can be translated to another sport that they play. Alright, so that's how we see PE education is in the school. I think that's probably things have moved on since during my time when I was a student. Right? So yeah, but we do have PE. They are the kids. Some of them are not as sporty as we like them to be. We do have a small number of kids who are overweight, and we try to tell them that you need to keep a healthy lifestyle, take the stairs, watch the diet, so things like that. Because if you're a Singaporean trying to do for national service, right, you've got to watch things like that. Even right now. Okay. Now, teacher profile. There are different schemes over here. Alright. Now, we have a lot of acronyms. I think that's part of the Singapore system. Singapore recruited teacher. This means these people here are civil servants. So they are recruited by the Ministry of Education, and they are posted to the school for a short stint. Minimum 3 years, maximum I think 6 years. Alright, 6 years. Nobody has gone on to 7 years. Alright, except for one. And I think the reason is once you reach 7 years, you actually qualify to be a permanent resident of Hong Kong, and then probably the civil service wouldn't want you to qualify for that. So all of us have a short shelf life here. Okay, so 13 out of 141, okay, only about 10%. We do have a proportion of Singapore teachers who have left the civil service, they work in other international schools, and they join us subsequently. So we have teachers who have taught in Shanghai, I think most of them in Shanghai, some internationals in Singapore, okay, before joining us. Alright, Hong Kongers, Chinese nationals, mostly teaching Chinese, math, and science. Your humanities teachers and English teachers will normally come in the others category. So British, Canadian, Australian, these are the 4 big ones. Some Americans, not that many. Alright, so that's about it. Yes.
I'm sorry, I missed. Can you explain the acronyms? The SRT,
Yes,
LRT?
Singapore recruited teachers, locally recruited teachers. Locally meaning the school recruit them directly. Singapore means the Singapore government recruited people.
The Minister of Education.
Yes, the Ministry of Education. So
Okay.
they are actually on loan to the school. Alright?
Loaned?
Yeah, they are loaned. Seconded. We call them seconded.
Okay, got it.
Right. Yeah.
And are pay scales equal across this, or?
Good question. The pay scale here is totally different. It's based on what they have as what the civil service mandates. Okay, all the rest is the same. Okay.
Are you a local recruited teacher? Do you have to go through the Ministry of Education?
No.
to get some program?
Not at all. So all these teachers, they need to be, the school has the right to employ them.
What is each case on?
Hong Kong. Hong Kong,
Special Administrative.
Special initiative.
They're from Hong Kong.
they're from Hong Kong.
So are they from the Hong Kong government?
No. All these are basically recruited again by the school. Okay, but in terms of
So the
nationality.
only government workers are far left out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
So I specialize in special needs. So do you have any teachers that have special needs credentials, or that 10% do you just put them in the classes with everybody else?
We only have special needs trained teachers in the primary section because, as I said, it's a growing proportion. Alright? They draw them out from class. Okay, so each class will probably have 1 or 2, and they are drawn out from class for English, math, I'm not sure about science. Okay, Chinese, I don't think so. Okay, because I think the teachers are trained more in the English and math. Yeah, these subjects. Okay, teacher profile. The pedagogy, content and pedagogical knowledge is something we look for in a teacher. So that, okay, it's first and foremost, because I think it's easier for us to assess. So when we do have interview, ask them about what are your views on a particular subject or curriculum, and we are mindful of teachers who say, I just teach the exams, or I can produce good exam results. We want to actually think more, how do you excite students in your subject, what do you do? I think that's what we're looking for. We ask them to come for lesson demo wherever possible. Okay. Teaching load here, I think is quite low compared to some other systems. I think in the UK system, we probably have about 20 hours a week of teaching, and the timetable will be all packed up. So here is lighter.